What's up and welcome back. I'm still taking second looks at films I've already seen. I'm having a really good time at the top of the year here because there's a lot of sequels, there's a lot of reasons to do this, and this is Creed 2. I've actually, I saw this once, but I saw this in theaters and it was while I was losing my vision. So I was basically blind when I saw Creed 2. I remember thinking, oh, I can kind of see the screen and sort of see the shapes moving around. I didn't really remember a whole lot from this, and I didn't get the translations. I saw it at a cheap theater that does not have audio description. Life choices. So now I did see it with audio description, so some stuff made a little bit more sense this time around. And it's on HBO Max, just like when I watched Creed, that was on HBO Max. They got Creed 1 and Creed 2 on HBO Max. It's a thing. So the Creedverse is on HBO Max. And this one's really good. This one does exactly, it's like the first one was all about Adonis and his legacy. Adonis living sort of in the shadow of Apollo Creed. The second film tackles that in the most direct way possible by having him face off against the son of the man who killed his father in the ring. So he has to face off against Victor Drago, son of Ivan Drago. It's somewhat satisfying. It feels like the plot that was always going to happen. Second time around, this film's great, and it does not utilize Rocky in the way that the first film does, where it also feels like we're catching up with him and why he was such a major character and why he got an Oscar nomination. It does focus a lot on Adonis and sort of giving him a little bit of breath, which is why I kind of feel like the fact that I know that Sylvester Stallone is not in the third film, due to a lot of contract things, not because they didn't like him. His character's still alive. They just he's got a little producer spat going on. Just because I know that, I feel like this film kind of sets that up to where it's like, okay, Adonis will be fine. He can walk now. He can walk on his own two legs. But it sets up so much. I mean, it sets up the parallels. It puts Adonis in the ring at the same time that his girlfriend slash fiance slash wife. We needed a wedding scene, by the way. We didn't get one of those. I don't know if that happened. I know he proposed, but anyway, we had that fight at the same time when she's pregnant, and it's like, oh, is he gonna die? Oh my God, is it gonna be just like his dad? Of course not. Of course it's not. The film is called Creed this time, not Rocky. So it'd be such a weird way to end the film. Like, how would you even go from there? Like, who would be? Would Felicia Rashad get in the ring and fight? I don't know, but yeah, it doesn't have quite the flair that, because this one did lose Ryan Coogler as director. This one has a different director. You can't notice it too much unless you start looking at just sort of the development of characters, the way that Coogler develops a story versus the way that this guy decides to develop a story. It's very subtle. There are very subtle changes. This guy's really good at mimicking Ryan Coogler, to the point where if Ryan ever stopped wanting to direct the Black Panther franchise, I'd be like, come on in. But no, there's a certain way that Coogler had with the first film that is a little bit more streamlined here, a little bit more ready for the mass audience. there's still a nice parallel here for the Dragos. They have a nice backstory. Ivan was in absolute shame after that last film. Oddly enough, not for killing Apollo Creed, but for losing to Rocky in the end. Russians be weird, yo. And so, like, his family's name, he's just been in shame. He went from being, like, the top shit to everybody abandoning him. And he's been working on building up his son. And his son is now ready to have that experience. But you can tell, the narration even kind of points out a couple times when Ivan's facial expressions are kind of like, I don't know, I have misgivings about this. I don't know whether or not it should, whether it's a good idea or not, you know. So, and that brings back Dolph Lundgren for those Rocky fans who were waiting, salivating for that to happen. Dolph is back. It is a decent job. I mean, they don't really give him a lot to do except to kind of just like bow his head frequently when he's disappointed, sad, or thoughtful. Not that Dolph Lundgren has really ever been known for his dramatic range, but he has a little bit of it here. It's just not. It's nothing that was going to bring him that supporting actor nomination that Sylvester Stallone got in the first film. And this kid that's playing his son doesn't really have a lot of dialogue either, which hampers his character and his ability to go after it. He's pretty much just like a, just thing that you put in the ring and tell it to go. Just go fight. I got it. Most of this lies with Adonis and the fact that he's building this life with Bianca and a movie to LA, and we get to see his mom again. Felicia Rashad shows up. She's in this, oddly enough, even though they're in LA, she's still in this probably about the same amount that she was in the first film. So I don't think her screen time increased exponentially here, so it's still we do get probably about I don't know, Tessa Thompson's in this quite a bit. We do get a little bit of her music, Bianca's weird music. She signs to a label and she gets pregnant, and she's got Amara growing inside her, which I know is going to be important for the third film. And yeah, this is where it's at. Wood Harris joins the team. He didn't want to join the team in the first film, but now he's joining the team in the second film. And there's some cool training sequences, training montages, some cool parallels. I really love the scene where they have Ivan standing next to Rocky's statue. I think about some of the things, though. I think about like the running up the stairs and them doing the Rocky, in Philadelphia, people who run up the stairs and they throw their arms up and they're like, yeah! I'm like, so in this world, did somebody make a film called Rocky? And Sylvester Stallone, is this meta? Like, because the only reason people do that in real life is because they saw Rocky, the film. But we're in a sequel to Rocky, the film. So is there a film called Rocky in the Creedverse that happened, that people saw, which caused the statue to be built, which caused people to want to run up the statue? Because how else would you know that in a training sequence, Rocky Balboa ran up the steps and threw his arms up? It wouldn't be that iconic. You know what I'm saying? Like, for us, it's an iconic movie moment because they're fans of Rocky. That's why there's so many fucking Rocky movies. But for them, it's just dumb. It's with the lack of explanation, it's this thing that happens where you're like, nobody would do that. You know, I mean, even the most cherished athletes we have in real life, like, where are there people running around doing like a specific Michael Jordan thing in some city somewhere where they're like, oh yeah, man, Jordan he used to dunk on this rim all the time. So, you know, we travel here. We take you know, we always make sure whenever we come here to come to this court and dunk on this rim. You know, I don't know that there's nothing there, I can't think of an equivalent to running up the steps, you know, like in Rocky. So it felt very weird when that happens because it does happen. It's even described in the audio description, which I have to watch because I'm blind. And yeah, it's there. And they made sure to let me know that while Ivan's up there, some person runs up up the steps like they're Rocky and throws their arm up in the air. I'm like, but why? Like, what for? How did they know to do that? We did not cover that. If they made a movie about Rocky, he should have more money than he does. Or maybe he poured it all into Adrian's. I don't know. But it would have been cool to know, like, who played him in that movie in this universe. Very weird. Milo Ventimiglia is credited in this. I don't really know why. I couldn't figure that one out. I guess there's a flashback. It can't be because he's in a photo. We just cannot be crediting Milo because he's in a photo. If he showed up in the film, it's not in the audio description. I missed that. There's a lot of talk about how Rocky should reach out to his kid and should do this and should do that. And I agree. And I think that's probably one of the reasons, if we could get him back for Creed 4, I think Milo has to come back just to tie in the finality of it all. Even if Stallone doesn't, I think Milo needs to meet Adonis. So it's like next generation meeting next generation. I think that's probably the next step I would go. He doesn't even really need to be a huge part of it. He can just be this cameo thing that happens. But I feel like if you're trying to have everything align perfectly, that's probably the one last thing that you could do in Creed 4 to tie everything together. But yeah, this is a good film. It's as good as the original. It's weird to say that because I think some like maybe one or two things are a little cheesy. You know, like running up the stairs. I was like, I need context here. I'm sorry. I need to know. I need to know how the hows and the whys of this happening. But this one gets really sort of dramatic. You know, there's that first attempted fight, and then Adonis kind of spends a while thinking about it, and he going through a slew of emotions. But then sometimes there are a couple times in the movie that I think this guy makes choices that Ryan Coogler wouldn't have made. So he's got his daughter, and he's driving around, and he just decides, I'm going to go to a gym now. Why? You thought that would calm your daughter down and cause her to stop crying? I can't get her to stop crying. Maybe if I take her to the gym. Like, maybe if I go punch on some bags. I don't know. It's some of it. Some little choices are silly, but overall, I really love the film. I just look at a couple of the things and I'm like, is that? You thought that was a solid choice, and then turns out not to be. I actually thought that light would go somewhere. The one outside Rocky's apartment, because we focused on it so much. I was like, does somebody get hit outside his apartment? But well, anyway, I haven't spoiled the ending, so you still don't know who wins the fight. So I just spoiled little things throughout the film. It is a second look. I should be able to talk more in depth about the film the second time around and not beat around the bush. So this is actually a second look for me. This is the second time I've seen this film. This is not the third, or sometimes I use second look and it's like the 18th time I've seen a film. This is a second look. Audio description on this by Ron Snow. He's got a great voice. He feels appropriate for the film. He just does good work here. Audio description feels pretty solid during the fight sequences. I think that's like probably sometimes I think about, at least I do, like levels of difficulty. Like this is high difficulty, this is low difficulty. And I think about that and I go, I feel like that's probably high difficulty to really get people into a boxing scene as an audio narrator. You know, if you don't know the boxing world and you don't know how to announce it, I'm sure announcers of boxing matches, you know, when they're calling it and they're looking for very specific things because that's their job. You know, their job is to announce boxing matches. As an audio description narrator, your job is to do something else, is to look for visual cues that we're missing. So it has a little bit of a different feel, but kind of in these moments, you almost have to be that boxing announcer. So the fight actually hits hard, or hits as hard as it can. And I think that kind of happens here for the most part. Definitely the moments that matter, like the ending of the first fight between Creed and Drago. Definitely, you know, the right words were used, I should say. So, anyway, yeah. I enjoyed the film. It's getting a little bit of silly. It's got some little bit of silly parts in it, but overall, I mean, this film has the same amount of heart. Michael B. Jordan is acting his ass off, and I just, you know, I don't know. It'd be nice if he could get nominated for playing Creed at some point. I realize as we continue to make Creed films, he's less and less likely to get nominated, but he is playing somebody who is a very complex character and a strong character, and he deserves a nomination, guys. He does. So that's it. That's what I got. Good narration. Be sure to check this one out, especially if you haven't seen Creed 1 and Creed 2, and you're thinking, I'm going to see Creed 3 when it comes out on streaming. Well, now's the time to catch up on these films, because they're great films just to watch in general. I'm going to give Creed 2 an A. Even with the couple of moments where I was like, I don't know. It just had so much. It had so much that worked for it. Where I just wanted to give it a bear hug and be like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You didn't need to do that, but it's okay. I see what you're trying to do there. You're trying to bring a little bit more nostalgia in. Doesn't make any sense, but you brought it in. It's okay. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, please think about subscribing. I'm trying to further the conversation of audio description, and I'd like to be able to have more subscribers, so that way when I talk about it, or the lack thereof, people listen. It'd be nice, so we could get audio description on everything. And I also have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what is audio description, where you can watch it. You can go to the ADNA.org, that's the ADNA.org, and you can look up Ron Snow and see what else he's done. And you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at MacMovieGuy. That's it for me today. I've been KO'd, and I'll review something else for you guys, and see you on the other side.